Hello, friends. It's John Connor, third of episode 154 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review Marvel Holiday Tales to Astonish. Uh, in the middle story, the Uncanny X-Men and Festival of Fights, written by Daniel Kibblesmith, who is on Blue Sky, and I wrote my review on Blue Sky. And you can follow me at Jacko SIII, as you can in most places. And uh, he responded. We had a fun back and forth, so that was pretty nice. Artist is Pat Olive, who I know from Untold Tales of Spider-Man, and John Kovitz is the color artist. And pretty much my review boiled down to not wanting to spoil things, but I will be here. But essentially, was like Mr. Kipper Smith essentially just wrote all the cool things you want to read in an X-Men comic to have Pat Olive draw. And he pretty much responded with essentially, yeah, that's pretty much exactly the gig. So that was a very fun time. And so the preview pages, which I think they showed 2 pages of the 10, so I was like, oh man. But we show that this is Kitty Pryde's first Hanukkah at the X Mansion. And which to any Kitty Pryde fan would immediately recognize, like, hey, her first Hanukkah was at Uncanny X-Men 143. So at one point, we're going to have the Nagari show up and wreck the X-Mansion and nearly kill her. But, and so the whole time I'm, not hesitant, but I'm like, well, all right, like, is this going to be out of continuity or what's going to happen here? And so everyone's putting up the Christmas tree. Katie's excited about being here first, Hanukkah. And Kurt gives her a menorah. And she recognizes she has not gotten anyone any present. And then pretty much every page is like super fun. So like for page one established the time. Page two, they're fighting Sentinel. And that was on page day three. And then on day four, they tango with Arcade, and who is my favorite X-Men villain, and possibly favorite Marvel villain. I don't know who will rank above him. Doc Ock? No. I think I'm ready to say right now. You heard it here first, folks. Arcade, my favorite Marvel villain. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't made it to a movie yet. Like, come on. Unless he's being an edge lord, but everyone's favorite character has a moment in time in their publication where they don't love it. Love that section. Um, as a Kitty Pryde fan, her potty mouth sometimes, no, every time is undesirable. Like, all right. I can't think of a time magic was undesirable. Besides when she was dead, and that's just a burden all Magic fans had to suffer with. Same for Lockheed fans, where many times we are given an era of X-Men comics where he's not a character in it, and that's always disappointing. Speaking of Lockheed, naturally, you like that segment? I now, with the purchase of Storm 4, I now own every appearance of Lockheed, which according to League of Comic Geeks is 304 appearances. I mean, there's other appearances like X-Men Forever and X-Men Forever 2. This time it's personal. Uh, Trying to think of other famous Lockheed appearances. Um, so yeah, so I own all those appearances, so I'm pretty excited. I'm trying to keep it so that he's my number one character, but Kitty Pryde is like 3 appearances behind him, so it's like, well, that's not great. Oh no, I'm sorry, Shadowcat, because I'm not a pro member of that website, so everything is they divide all the characters and all their code names separately. So it's like, come on. So I think Catherine Pride is number 13. I had to add all the new mutant comics to my list to get Magic into the top nine, which of course added Kitty and like all the new mutants, and then I had to add all the Excalibur 125 issues plus other side projects, which then like lifted. Megan and Captain America, but not Rachel, because I guess she's broken up by Rachel and then the Phoenix and then Ascanti. It was a fun couple of days of just trying to get there. Um, so they defeat Arcade, and then Kitty grabs Kurt to go to a photo booth. But by the time it's time to take a picture, he's already gone. And then day five, Doctor Doom's tangling with them. Oh, and Angel's there for some reason. I guess he was an X-Man with Kitty for like a day. And then he will leave with Candy Southern. And then the Morlocks will show up and then he's right back being, tortured. But he's never right back. And then that story ends with Doctor Doom being defeated. And he was having a crush on Storm and wanting more attention. But it turns out it's a Doombot because of course it is. And then she grabs one of Doom's swords. And then day six, everyone, we get all the parent Kitty kissing Colossus under the mistletoe. They're all gonna leave for Kitty alone because they're gonna go Christmas shopping, and that means Kitty can't come with them. And the Debari shows up for Uncanny X-Men 143, which I sort of love the continuity of like, hey everyone, 143 was a crazy adventure for Kitty, but really it was part of her, just one of her eight crazy nights. A movie I haven't seen in forever, but I remember having good songs, maybe at least two good songs, the Adam Sandler movie. And then day seven, we're going to eight, right? Or is it nine? Three, six, oh, nine. Yeah. And so day seven, the Hellfire Club is harassing Dazzler and the X-Men attack them. So we get a fun Dazzler appearance. And then day eight, they're in the Savage Land, and Logan's slowly getting more respect for Kitty as she's just like standing up for herself. And then it's day nine, and she's giving everyone presents. She gives Kurt a present of the picture they would have taken. Storm gets earrings. Uh, Kitty gives Colossus a Neil Diamond album. Angel gets Dazzler's phone number. Kitty gives Xavier all of the money she has because, the mansion got wrecked. And then Logan gets the Doom Sword, and he's super happy with her. And then he's going to teach her Krav Maga, which, if you're an Excalibur fan, during the Demon Trilogy, no, I'm sorry, the Soul Sword Trilogy, of course. Hopefully, I said it before you yelled at your phone. Um, where we learn that she did get all the training with him, and so yeah, like all the things, and then it ends with Happy Hanukkah from Catherine Kitty Pryde and the X-Men. And this also has a Fantastic Four story and a Miles Morales Spider-Man story. Yeah, what a fantastic tale to Astonish. I would mention Exceptional Kitty Pryde is on the cover of it, so I got my excitement up for like, oh, maybe this is how Lucky's going to show up in this present era. But no, we got a classic story, which is a delight. So yeah, I love this comic. It's high, which now I'm thinking about, I don't think I ranked I updated my list of, my top 10 comics because I do want to add this to that. So I'll fix that on Monday, which will be tomorrow. If you're listening in real time, which if you are, I mean, good on you because it's 11:41 and by the time I upload this, it'd be midnight. So, um, so before I see what other comics came out, we are gonna review Savage Wolverine issue 12. That is part of the Craven the Hunter mini event we're doing, but he's not in this one. As our review now, we're going to review issue 13 next week, and that will have Craven in it and conclude our Craven the Hunter, which I don't know when we're going to watch the movie because we haven't seen one or two yet. And we did see Wicked, and I'm more than anything super willing to watch Wicked a second time before watching Moana 2 or Craven the Hunter. So I don't know how we're gonna do that, but Craven here, and I got two comics with Craven in it, so we were able to do this. And if you want to follow along visually, you can follow find my TikTok and YouTube channel, both of them at Jacko SII, where and I'm sure more and more tempted to quit uploading comic book stuff into YouTube because I don't get the views compared to TikTok, but I think they just passed a appeals decision about TikTok might get banned, so I I guess I'm tempted to keep continuing it just so that my videos be saved somewhere. But this comic came out in January 2012, and this is Savage Wolverine, which pretty much was like a rotating creative teams, which I don't know what you call an anthology series. That's just your rotating creative teams. There's probably a word for that, right? So this is Savage Wolverine. Many years ago, a secret government organization abducted a man called Logan, a mutant possessing razor-sharp bone claws and the ability to heal from any wound. In their attempt to create the perfect living weapon, the organization bonded the unbreakable metal adamantium to its skeleton. The process was excruciating, and by the end, there was little left of the man known as Logan. He had become Savage Wolverine. And this is called Tom Conquered the Beast, Part 1 of 2. Writer artist is Phil Jimenez. Co-writer is Scott Lope and Rachel Rosenbaum on colors. I'm sorry, Rosenberg. And um, so Rosenberg equals high quality coloring. So we're these this two-parter is teaching us the important lesson that poachers are horrible people as they are killing elephants and rhinos to the brink of extinction. And so he's looking for his beloved elephant that he's been visiting in Africa for years upon years. There's a great double page ad for Lego Marvel Superheroes, the one Lego Marvel game that has X-Men content. And every so often I'm tempted to like log back in and play. And I don't remember why I lost all my data, but like I had all the characters unlocked, even Silver Surfer, who is a Bane to get. Um, but not Batman's Bane, just a proper Bane. And so, yeah, because even Wolverine doesn't show up in those other games, so that's irritating. Meanwhile, the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning, Westchester County, New York, we see Lockheed giving a to Cocoa, and that is our Lockheed content. But Kitty Pryde's teaching Kid Omega, Brew, Heidi, uh, that other girl whose name escapes me, Esme's in there. Oh, Anoli as well. And she's giving a class about how costumes can be both practical and fun, and as well as a reflection of your powers and codename. And of course, Kid Omega makes fun of her um, roller skate outfit from Uncanny X-Men 149 and 150, the issue where Magneto thinks he kills her and then does a face turn. And then Heidi asks her if she needed to change her codename every time she gets a new costume. This one gal isn't a teenage ninja, she just has wings and she doesn't know the roller skate, so does she have to incorporate that? And Kitty's like, I'm done with this whole conversation. And thankfully Logan calls her, and so she leaves. But before she completely dismisses class, Brew loves her skateboarding costume as he always found it. We're in the midst of a festive event like a parade or holiday fireworks. It's always been one of his favorites, and she appreciates that. And then she goes down to the danger room, and for some reason, I guess her school teaching outfit's a hologram. That she presses a button and it changes into her astonishing X-Men costume, which is the blue and yellow costume, or yellow and black. You decide. And Logan wants her to look for an elephant, but she's just like, oh, all right, I don't know how to do that. And then he goes to Mad Report to like finish them off. And then so she finally Oh yeah, because she's locating where he needs to go in Mad Report, and now he needs to look for the elephant. And then Doug Ramsey comes in and goes, "You just have to look in the right place, Kitty, and then you just have to listen." And she's like, "Cipher," and that is the Kitty segments and Locky, which makes for 4 pages. So you can follow the podcast socials on Blue Sky and Instagram at SNFWM. The ad spelt out, and you can read those panels pages for yourself, which is fun. Um, and that's a shame that this Kitty and Doug, because he was dead for so long until Nikosha showed up and or happened, and then he went from being dead to being alive, as that's how it happens in comics. And but the entire time he barely they barely interact with each other, which is maddening. But at least we got it in 2 issues. So let's see what comics came out last week. Oh, Avengers 21, which promised the Avengers facing off against the X-Men, Cyclops' X-Men. Um, which I love the marketing material where even the cover shows Captain Marvel punching Cyclops. And it turns out they're just having funsies. They're playing baseball, they're having a great time. Carol's honorary X-Man. They're both written by Jed McKay. Which, for whatever reason, I just figured he was still gonna lift the Avengers by stepping on the X-Men, but instead he's like, "No, man, they're friends together. Like, why would they fight?" And so that's just amazing and uncanny and astonishing. And yeah, and you see Magic and Captain America, Sam Wilson, getting along, which is nice because in Civil War II they did not get along that well. And and Magneto and Wanda have a fun moment. She calls him father, so I guess they do recognize each other as family, so that's pretty great. I like Vision and Wanda hanging out. But Carol and Scott just being like, "Yeah, we're gonna if you need us, we're there," and we assume likewise. And Carol's like, "Yeah, of course." Deadpool Wolverine Weapon Extraction, fun title. They go through multiple dimensions and time periods, and it's just a zany one shot. But it's a lot of Deadpool, a lot of Wolverine, and if that's not for you, not I don't think that comic's gonna be for you. And I thought it was like a couple chuckles, but yeah. Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay 4 final page shows them being like, well, let's talk to the X-Men. And we see that some of the X-Men have been infected with the Groot zombification. So I don't know if that's going to lead to a sequel or is it a sequel tease, but it's fine. It'd be the series I wanted this one to be. And by X6, the teens of Attitude go to a Dazzler concert that we're promised we'll see the other side of in Dazzler 4. And Mojo was barely in it. No, no, I'm sorry, not Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel and the Wolverine are getting along well. Sophie still can't connect to her telepathic powers, so she's going through it. But yeah, I also had to recognize that I shouldn't dread Mojo as much. I went on the Travis Strennis's Marvel appearances list, and it turns out I was under the impression Mojo had like 100 appearances, and I've read like 20, and so I was like, yeah, I like what I've read, but I'm not a big Mojo fan. And it turns out I've read more like 80% of Mojo appearances. So I was like, oh, well then I liked what I like, and I guess I have to recognize I do like Mojo. Which then made me go to Target and I bought the X-Men 97 Spiral Funko Pop. And now I'm like a little obsessed about wanting to get Mojo, even though I really don't like the 8-bit-ness of it all. But there is no other Spyro and there's no other Mojo. Yeah, so on Target it was only like $9, so I should just treat myself to it. Um, but it's something about the hunt of it and wanting to find the wild, but also $9 online, like maybe shipped to the store for free. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to talk myself into it. But yeah, and then Mojo. I got the impression he's going to be the background villain of the arc, so we'll see. Uh, oh, Wolverine 4. He fights Constrictor, which is like, all right. Lady Deathstrike shows up. It looks like he has some mind games, um, but not the cool mind games of Mankind versus Shawn Michaels. That's your typical Wolverine solo book mind games. Well, that's disappointing. But I do like how he's a buddy in the Wendigo. Like that character, I don't know. Solo Wolverine needs a buddy, or I don't care about Solo Logan. That just, it's like Thor and Superman. They just work better in a team environment. Like I'm not gonna read solo Superman or solo Thor. Though I did like that Dan Jurgens, John Romita Jr. Heroes Return era, which that was probably the era where I read Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Avengers. Oh, and Fantastic Four. Like I was in on that. Like Marvel 97, banner year for the company. Like they're just coming out of bankruptcy. They got creative juices going. Kurt Busiek's on both Iron Man and Avengers. Scott Lobdell's on a Fantastic Four until Claremont shows up, and then the Fantastic Four just is an amazing run. Um, I should have said Fantastic Run, or should I not have said it? Hmm. So yeah, so Wolverine. So yeah, Nightcrawler showed up too. So I'm like, hey, Wolverine 4 issue itself pretty solid, but the subplot of all that stuff, I'm still not connecting with it. X-Force 6, Forge is mourning the death of Surge. And it really is like the mourning process. I mean, thankfully, I haven't lost that many people in my life, like all my grandparents by the time I was like 8. But, they were more like names like on postcards. And like my grandfather did come, gosh, how old was I? Probably like 8, and pretty much instilled, like, was like coughing up a lung essentially. It was like, hey, never smoke. And I was already a Nancy Reagan baby. So I was like, yeah, man, say no to drugs. Um, like done and done. And then he bought me a turtle blimp. So, and I'll tell you this. I doubt they do this in school anymore, but like literally until I graduated high school, I was offered drugs once and literally was like, oh no, I'm good. And he was like, oh, cool. And then we just kept walking. And I was like, oh, hey, like I did it. The one time asked, I said no, because I'm a big old nerd. And it turns out not a bullying situation, not a shameful situation, just like, yeah, man, you don't want it more from me. All right, buddy. Awkward 20 steps until he went into his car. Um, yeah. So thankfully, I haven't lost that many people. Now, like, unfortunately, and then the last couple years, both my in-laws, and that's been pretty devastating. But the sucky thing about mourning, besides losing the person you're mourning, is like as your world stops spinning, the actual world keeps spinning, and it's just hard to. And that just sucks because you want to just stop everything and be like, we're doing this now. But meanwhile, it's like, no, like the job continues. You can take the week off, but then you gotta come back and then make up for that week, and that's always irritating. That might be more my anxiety than anything. But anyways, and so Forge is going through it. He has his inner storm, inner mystique helping him through it. Real life sages, like, yeah, I've processed that data already and I'm good. And Rachel and Psylocke, or I'm sorry. Rachel and Betsy, Retsy as the internet calls them, and I'm there with them, um, are holding hands, figuring it out. And a confusing move of marketing. Marvel released already issue seven's preview pages, so we already know what they were doing, holding hands. So like, where's the mystery in that? Like, come on. Oh, and then X-Men 8, which good on McKay for getting X-Men and Avengers out at the same time. So two covers where Cyclops is getting punched. This one is part one of the Raid on Grey Malkin lane. Nope. It's just Raid on Grey Malkin, but casual. plug for Gray Malkin Lane. Um, with Chad Anderson. X-Men 8, the X-Men Warden Ellis captures Beast in like a very cheesy move, like, oh, all right, so the plot is Beast needs to be captured, so yeah, page 3, Beast is captured. And then he runs into Jubilee and Kaliko, who's my favorite member of Uncanny X-Men, or the Outliers. And so they're harassing Beast for getting nabbed, and he's like, you guys got nabbed as well. Oh, I say Kaliko, but it's just Becca. Ember's safe at the Uncanny X-Men mansion, or not mansion, Louisiana base. Oh, and there's a funny moment when Becca is introducing herself as she's the X-Men of Louisiana, and so Beast is like, "Oh, I'm the X-Men of Alaska," which I'm like, "Oh, too bad the X-Men of Illinois didn't show up." But I could have the whole issue could have just been Jubilee, Becca, and Beast just chit-chatting. Oh, and Gail Simone. Well, I can't say friend of the podcast, just I don't think she knows I have a podcast. But she started following me on Blue Sky because she asked some um Calico questions, and thought I made some witty comments and got them seen by her, and she started following me, which now has given me some pressure, like better do a good job. But I like Gail Simone. Like I like Uncanny X-Men. I mean, that's where you get all your Coleco and Nightcrawler content. So, I mean, keep doing that. Um, Plus issue one had all that Lockheed references. So yeah, what's not to love? Um, which some people have made comments about Uncanny X-Men that they don't love. So I recognize those opinions, but I don't know. I've been liking it. Of the new titles, I would say Exceptional X-Men 1, or I mean Exceptional X-Men ranked number 1, and then Uncanny X-Men 2 with NYX a 3. But just waiting for Magic's ongoing series in January, which is next month, to start, and then that'll just be a number 2. And then we'll see where we go from there. So what else happens in there? Oh yeah, so then Cyclops wants his best friend back, and so they invade. Um, and then the issue ends with Rogue and her team being like, "Hey, stop that!" And so we're going to see how her uneasy alliance with Warden Ellis plays out. So yeah, very solid week of comics. Let's see what comes out on Wednesday. Um, Dazzler 4. So we're going to see the other half of NYX. Deadpool team up 4 with Major X, so that's happening. Oh, Laura Kinney, the Wolverine, number 1 comes out. Jonathan Love's X-Men should be all about that series. Oh yeah, so my desire to be followed by people besides you, dear listener. Hopefully Jonathan Love's X-Men follows me, which I don't know if that's just something I could send a DM to be like, well, I see I don't want to do that. I want to earn it, right? That's the thrill of it. Phoenix 6 comes out with Thanos, so that's happening. Hopefully her supporting cast of like Captain Marvel and the other people keeps continuing because I've been liking those sections. Storm 3, which features Rogue and her making an X on the cover, so fun. It does say Uncanny X-Men, so we'll see. Which is fun that one week she met Cyclops' team and now she's going to meet Rogue's team. Pretty great. Oh, Ultimate Universe 1 year in, issue 1 comes out. Has classic Nick Fury on the cover. So we'll see if Magic shows up in that. Oh, speaking of which, Ultimate X-Men 10, as they're building towards the festival. Oh, Uncanny X-Men 7, the raid on Grey Malkin comes out. Gorgeous cover of Marquez with all the X-Men teams members represented. And then X Factor 5. So we'll see if that continues to be fun. Dr. Reyes's ex-boyfriend is now on the team, so complications galore. So if I was gonna rank these, probably Uncanny X-Men 7. Dazzler 4, Storm 3, Lower Kenny Wolverine 1. I'm excited to see what that's going to be about. Oh, Ultimate X-Men 10, Ultimate Universe 1 year in, and then Phoenix 6. Yeah, I think that. Oh, and then X Factor 5. And I think X Factor being an afterthought works. So yeah, let's do that. Well, thank you, dear listener, for listening. We appreciate you taking the time. And I think I promoted everything. And so yeah, we're doing good. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.